be honest about that. But what we're going to do tonight is, as pre-PTs, we are going to help y'all not only find some clarity, but through Karl's story, help y'all see what's still very possible with your journey as a pre-PT. So for those of y'all that are new to pre-PT grind, welcome. I see Jennifer live. What's up, Jennifer? Good to see you, Jen. Jen, you're always one of the first people live. I've been noticing that. Like, you are always like insanely on it, which I love. But one of the biggest things is as students, a lot of us like 2020 feels like it should be like a scrap, like just go from 2019 to like 2021. But for a lot of us, man, like we want to see someone that has gone through the same things that we are currently feeling. Like a lot of us, like when we're looking for guidance, Karl, when we're looking for help, when we're looking for clarity, like we're usually feeling like, dang, like I feel this, I feel anxiety, I feel stressed, I feel whatever. And so one of the things that we've enjoyed doing, and this is the 24th episode of it, is we've been bringing in students that have been alumnus of our accepted system coaching program that helps students get into PT school without wasting time or money. And Karl is one of the OGs in the program. And so what we've been doing is we've been bringing in different students who have gotten into PT school. And we're having them talk about their journey, the good and the bad, because most of us don't normally hear the bad. Like we hear the, hey, I got into PT school, you can too, right? Which is cute. It's cute, but it doesn't actually help you say, hey, that actually sounds like my struggle. The same stuff that Karl was dealing with, I'm actually going through that right now. And that might be exactly what you need to hear in order to give you the clarity, the direction and guidance, and really belief and hope that you can crush it. So Karl, how you feeling, man? How you feeling?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I'm blessed. How are you?
Doing good, man. Y'all, we're gonna be honest. We were supposed to start this 30 minutes ago, but what happened is Karl and I got onto this Zoom call and we just started talking. And a lot of what we were talking about was current events and our personal lives and how this is intertwined with not only our country but you guys as pre-PTs. And we'll probably do another live stream at some point talking about that. But now we're ready to take care of y'all and serve you guys. And as you guys are watching this, if you guys have friends that you're like, yo, this person needs to hear this story, this person needs to hear this experience, tag them, bring them here. But let's dive in. We have Casey, we have Serena, we have Victoria, we have Man, we have Christine. For those of y'all that are here that I can't see, comment #team live. Y'all on replay, comment #team replay so we can see y'all. But let's kick it, man. Let's kick it. So let's start from the beginning because we're gonna get into the good stuff, which is the struggles, right? But let's start from the beginning. Karl, right now we already know you're a PT student, but let's go back because like that's the happy ending, but it had a lot of not so happy parts, right? So before we get to the hard stuff, man, what pulled you towards physical therapy as a whole, man?
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that's watching this either live or on replay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karl Bourne Jr. I am a second-year student physical therapist at the University of St. Augustine. And my story is one that is, it's unique in several facets. First off, I graduated high school and I envisioned myself being in the National Football League right now. I shouldn't even be on this live with y'all, but we all know that that's not the way life goes. And with a lot of the punches that get thrown, you have to kind of adjust and learn how to move from there. So I went to 3 schools for undergrad. I bounced around for football. And my first school was up in Minnesota, cold as hell. I couldn't do it anymore. So I left, came back to Florida. And the second school that I was at was just a very, very, very rough situation. Ended up basically on the verge of being homeless for what would have been a couple weeks, could have even led to months. But, you know, things worked out with that. And then I ended up at my last school, which was my alma mater, University of South Florida. So physical therapy was never in the plans. I'm not an SPT that likes to put on this facade like, oh, I wanted to be a physical therapist since I was like 12. No, I didn't even know what physical therapy was until I'd say maybe my junior to senior year of college. And even then I just thought like, oh, it's just a bunch of people, they massage you. That's what I thought. And what ended up happening is once I graduated from USF in 2015, I kind of had this period of just reflection where it was like, what's next? You know, I just graduated. I got my bachelor's in health sciences. Neither of my parents graduated from college. You know, grandparents didn't have the opportunity to go to school. So it felt like, one, I just hit a major milestone. But two, it's like, once you get to a certain point, it's very easy to get complacent. And I think at that point, Joseph, I was kind of like, where do I go from here? You know, like, I know I just spent all these years in school. And in my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm going back to school. Like, nah, I'll find a good job. I got a bachelor's in health sciences. I'm sure I can make something work with that. Wrong. That next year, I ended up back in Orlando, and it wasn't until my great grandmother passed away. My family is from Barbados, and it wasn't until that summer of 2016 I was in Barbados, and I remember just sitting on the beach, just looking out into the ocean, and it was the same beach that I had remember going to for many years as a young child in Barbados. Right down the street from her house, you know, family in the area. And I just kept asking myself, like, how can I honor her memory? How can I move in a way that I can make her proud as she's looking down? And one thing that I admired greatly about her was the fact that she was a person of influence. I mean, at her funeral, it was packed. Like, not just inside, I mean, it was packed like outside there. Like, she was well known in the community, and she always wanted to be a teacher, but you know, she didn't have that luxury back then. And she always used to stress to me, school is important. I told myself, if I go back to school, it has to be something I love. It has to be something that I'm going to enjoy. And that was when I made the decision, I'm going to go back to school, because I felt like I was just floating around. And I didn't want to be a drifter. And so that next year, I think the rest of 2016, I kind of took to just figure out what I needed to do, and save up, because I figured, well, if I'm going back, I'm going to have to pay for some classes. So I need to make some money. And 2017 is when I made the decision, you know, let me go dive into physical therapy. And I looked into it. I found out like, oh, damn, I can be the first doctor in my family too. Like that sounds great, you know? And so I went back and I looked at my transcripts, went to my community college that same day, and found out that a bunch of my classes I was gonna have to retake because my credits didn't transfer. So physical therapy is something that it was never meant to happen. It was just something that it became a beautiful part of my story. And it became something that I was kind of led to from misfortune, you know, from losing my great grandmother. But I would say also from losing football, because that was something that I loved so much. And it just, it ended up being something where PT and being able, the notion of being able to help people move and being a movement expert was something that just appealed to me. And once I did the research, once I got in there and started, you know, learning about it, it was like, man, I can see myself doing this. And ever since then, there hasn't been a day that I've regretted it.
And you're getting some love in the comments. Andy says, so proud of you, Carl. And we have Kat, we have Bria, Kayla,
Andy,
Serena, great to see y'all. We got Man, Victoria. Good to see y'all. We're here talking about Carl's journey towards getting accepted into PT school, and we're about to get to the tough part. But Carl, I actually remember the first time that you and I met in person, right? It was you had already been in the accepted system, and we met here in Tampa, and we went to First Watch, right? Went to First Watch off of 𝗍𝗵𝗄, right? Like we already know in Tampa. Anyway, so we sat at a First Watch, and now I remember us talking about all this stuff, man. And just as you were sharing that, I was just remembering, I was like, man, like crazy how far, like how much things have changed, right? Since like earlier in 2018 when we were having these conversations for the first time till now, where and when they hear what you're doing now, it's gonna be like, whoa, like this is what can happen in a short amount of time if you just continue to push yourself and devote yourself, not only towards what you want, but also being very, I think for you, your theme is just being very, I don't know if self-aware is the right word. I think you just listen. You listen to where you're called, right? And for you, it's come through moments of pain. You just said two key pieces, like your great grandmother losing football, but so many different experiences that allows you to where you were forced to have to listen and step back and say, yo, like what's like, where am I being led? And is that where I want to go? And I think that's what's painted the journey that you've had, even leading up to right now, without you ever having seen it. Like a lot of the stuff that you're doing now, I mean, early 2018, do you really think you'd have been doing them? Probably not. Like it's like, like two different Carls, right? So we'll get there. But tell me a little bit, yo, what's up, Tran? How you doing? Larry, great to see you as well. So tell us about your frustrations. What were your biggest obstacles now that you had been pulled to PT a little differently from most people? Now you were like, all right, I want this. I want physical therapy. What were your biggest obstacles prior to ultimately getting accepted into PT school?
Oh man, where should I start? First off, I would say something that I want to address that I think a lot of pre-PTs kind of undervalue or underestimate, I should say, is imposter syndrome. For me, it was very hard to be able to put myself into a state of mind where it was like, you're going to become a doctor. Because why? It's never been done in my family before. I didn't know any doctors. I didn't grow up around any doctors or anything like that. And so for me, it was very hard trying to break through that mental barrier of, I think I can, to actually being like, I can do this, hands down. And I think for a while, I struggled with that because there were a lot of frustrations I felt as well, because I felt like there were so many times that I fell flat on my face with certain things because I didn't have anyone to guide me. You know what I mean? Like, and I think even in undergrad, a lot of these guidance counselors or whatever you want to call them, you're just another number. You come in there, they tell you, you should take this, you should take that. They don't really take time to sit down and figure out what you're about. And so when you combine that with not having family or parents who went through that process that can direct me in the right direction, the waters get very muddy. And so it was extremely hard trying to figure out how can I navigate this? How can I be able to make it to my goal in a short amount of time? Or how can I make it to my goal without, quote unquote, having to cut any corners or take any shortcuts? And so that was extremely difficult because even I remember the first prereqs that I took 3 summer 16. This was before I met you guys. And I was taking Chem 1 with qualitative analysis. I was taking Bio 2, and I was taking A&P 2. My Chem 1 with qualitative analysis, I always tell people that my teacher sweetest lady ever, horrible teacher. It was a 6-week class, and I want to say about week 3 or 4, whenever the like withdrawal deadline was, I fell off because I couldn't do it. And for me, it was frustrating because I had envisioned, okay, I'm going to apply to school at such and such time, but I just withdrew from the class. So how am I going to do that? So I took a step back. I was like, nah, like, it's all good. It's just one class. Like, this doesn't mess up with the plan. Wrong. I had to take physics, and I didn't realize that a prereq for that was going to be trigonometry or some type of math. I hate math. Like, I despise it. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to pass? How like, I came back to school to do well in these prereqs, and y'all want me to take trigonometry. You want me to take math, a class that I do not like. And so now there's more imposter syndrome because you're battling all those years of I hate math, I hate math, I hate math, I hate math, to if you want to get to where you think you want to get to, you have to get through this. And luckily, to this day, I still don't know how I did so well in the class, but I did, man. And I ended up acing the class. And it was just, I think that was the first glimpse for me of like, look at what you just did. You know, like, it was the first time in my journey where I was like, damn, I'm kind of nice. Like, yeah, like you got some flavor, boy. Like, you could do this. And I think that was kind of the first bit of propulsion that kind of gave me that momentum that geared me into keep going, you know. But in addition to that, I don't shy away from anything because I'm here now. So it doesn't matter what was going on before. So I tell people, like, my GPA, I had a 2.9 cum, not competitive BS that they tell you. My GRE was a I don't even know, like a 290. My essay was phenomenal because I write.
Carl can write.
But
the best writers I know. Like, one of the best writers I know. Yo, go on.
No, man, but I, from a paper standpoint, I was not the ideal candidate. But I think for me, there's always been something I've always just really relished and just loved, like that underdog role. You know, like I feel like when my back is against the wall, like that's where I really shine at, you know. And so for me, it was trying to break through those mental barriers, you know, while still embodying like I'm about to put this whole thing on my back and I'm about to get into school. And so those were a couple of the things that were deterrents for me.
Yo, how many of y'all related with what Carl just said? Can y'all just put relate in the comments if y'all related with any of it, whether it's the imposter syndrome, whether it's just the classes in general, because y'all already know some of these classes are crazy, right? But Carl just said it. Carl, like, man, I say this so much, but a lot of times we have to start like interacting with the accepted version of ourselves. Because if Carl looks back, like Carl said it with so much swag right now, but Carl will tell y'all that there were times in his journey where he didn't feel that same level of, like, man, the opposite. Like, right, Carl? Because you're a human being, right? So like 100%. There were times where you were like, dang, like maybe I feel a little better. My imposter syndrome is not as bad. Oh, wait, right back at it, right? But now looking back, you're like, holy crap, like my GRE scores never got to a 300. My cumulative never got to a 3.0. All the things that you're told are must-haves, right, in order to get into PT school. But I kind of did what everyone's trying to do, right? And not only once, and we'll get to that soon, but more than once, right? And so, yeah, man. So So Kat said, I'm in the same box. Andy said relate. Bria said relate. Larry says relate. Tran said Carl is one of the best writers I know. I don't think Carl is the best writer I know. I really don't know if I can. I'm not taking that back. So whoever feels offended by that, I mean, he is.
Appreciate it, bro.
Relate for sure. Man, yeah. So y'all, like, this stuff is real, but don't let it take away your belief that like physical therapy is gonna happen, right? Because a lot of us start tripping, right? And when imposter syndrome gets, strong, when we start getting in our heads, sometimes it's encouraged by people that are close to us. Nyasha talked about it last night a little bit if y'all were there. But y'all, if this is the direction you want to go, you can't let somebody else dictate that for you. And honestly, you can't let your own fears dictate that for you either. So I hope y'all heard that. But Carl, you took a next step. So for you, you actually started looking for some non-traditional guidance, right? That's where we met up in early 2018. What ultimately led you to look for non-traditional guidance? How did you find it? And then we're gonna help people level up from there.
Oh, for sure. First off, shout out to Mario Beltran. Mario Beltran, if somehow this ends up on your timeline, he's a PT. I don't know. But if he sees this, man, Mario is someone who I credit a lot of my success in a way to him, because Mario is the one that sent me to you guys. I reached out to him. I remember it was on Twitter. I sent him a DM, and Mario, he got back to me like very quick. He was very quick with his responses, and he was like, yeah, here's my cell, text me, let's talk some more. And as we were texting, going back and forth, he told me, and I kid you not, this was January of 2018. Didn't see everything that's happened in my life. I did not see it coming. But he told me, he was like, yeah, a couple of my boys, they got this program, like Pre-PT Grind. You should go check them out. They're on Facebook. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go check them out. I remember going on Facebook later that night, and I went into this page, the pre-doc page, and I'm just scrolling, and I'm seeing like people have all these questions and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, this looks like where I need to be at. And everything happens for a reason. I saw you post that you guys had a webinar coming up on that Sunday. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe there'll be some good stuff on here. And I remember hopping on, and I remember like listening to your story, and I remember like you talking about why you started Pre-PT Grind, why you and Casey started it. And in my mind, I want to say this because I think a lot of pre-PTs need to hear this. And I think a lot of them need to stop playing themselves, because a lot of you say you want to get into school. You don't want to get into school. You think you want to get into school. When you want something, you literally will exhaust every single option to get to that point. Because if you don't, there's always going to be a way for you to have some kind of bullshit excuse as to why you didn't reach whatever goal you had for yourself. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I've seen a lot of people like that. Hell, I was like that before I started having those tough conversations with myself. But the more you sit there and say, oh, I want school, I want this, I want that, ask yourself, look in the mirror and ask yourself, do my actions match up with what I'm saying, or is it just lip service? And I think for a lot of people, they live in this fantasy land where they think like they can do the bare minimum. They think they can just show up and everything's gonna come to them. Nah, I was on that webinar and I told myself, I don't give a damn what I need to do. These are the people I want to be around. These are the people that I feel like are gonna help me get into school. 2.5 years later, thank God I listened to that. Thank God I took that leap. Thank God I told myself, you're going to exhaust every option that you have in order to get into school. Because if I didn't, I would have been sitting there my second cycle or my third cycle or whatever. By the way, with all those stats, I got into school on my first try. That's not me. That's not me bragging. That's just facts, because I wanted it. Go ahead, Joseph.
God damn. Like, I low-key want to end the live stream right there. Like, what we say we want and what we actually want many times doesn't match up. And I'm glad you said it, Carl. I'm glad you said it. Like typically doesn't match up. And we were very good at saying, yeah, you know, I want it, but like we end up like having all these BS excuses to not actually take action. And then we're shocked. Like most students are shocked that they didn't get in their first time or their second time or their third time or their fourth time. But most students are shocked. And when it's right in front of them, like when the guide is right in front of them, when the path is right in front of them, they can't see it. And if they can see it, they don't want to do what it actually takes. Right? Like there's a very clear difference, y'all. Like this, don't let the acceptance game be about like what your numbers are, what your GPA is, what your GRE score is, how many observation hours you have and all that. Man, listen, it's part of it. But a lot of us spend so much time on that, and then we look at it, and then now what we end up doing is say, oh, well, it's not as good as that person, or it's not as good as this, or I went on this forum and I saw, man, no, like it psychs you out. It psychs you out. And most students, like a majority of students, don't actually do the work. Like that's why someone like Carl can get accepted into multiple programs, because he realized, yo, like I'm going to show them who I am based off of my actions, because that's the true definition of who I am. Not classes that were frustrating, not obstacles that I had, not a few years where I had to, like move to different schools, not the familial, situations that I had that affected how I performed in class, not my own anxieties, none of that. It's what I do now. Because if I want something, y'all, like think about something you've ever really wanted. What are you willing to do for it? Like Carl was actually there the day I proposed to my wife, right? Like Carl was the videographer, right? So Carl came, came to Tampa. We went and had, a meeting with our good friend and coach 𝗵𝗃, and then later that day, it was that same day, right? Like we pretty
same
much
day.
Yeah, like it was dope. But the biggest thing is like for that day, like Carl, I would have never gotten to that day if I didn't really want to marry her. Like my actions would have had to show it throughout. Otherwise, she would have been like, yo, he ain't serious. And I feel like many times as pre-PTs, we're stuck in the same rut. And what we do is we go to these like forums, or we go to the pre-doctor physical therapy students page, or we go to, the pre-PT grind page, or we listen to the pre-PT grind podcast, or we read the pre-PT grind blogs, or any other blogs that you guys find that are pre-PT related. But then what happens is we use them as excuses to not actually take action. We use them as excuses to say, yo, I'm doing something, but I'm not actually willing to like move when my opportunity opens itself. And that's what Carl is saying. And for the people that can do that, I really don't care what your GPA is. I really don't care what your GRE scores are. I really don't care how many times you've gotten rejected. Your ability to get into PT school skyrockets. I'm not saying that out of fluff. I'm saying that because it just happens. Like Carl, his peers, all the other people in the acceptance system, they'll tell you. But that's what it takes. I know somebody needs to hear that. Go on, Carl. I know you had more to say.
No, man, I just, after that point, because I think you were asking me, how I found you guys, but that was really it. On that webinar, Joseph and Casey didn't have to persuade me, or sell me on buying into their program. I had already bought in before I got on the webinar, because I had already got on the webinar with the mindset of whatever you have, if it's going to help me get into school, that's what I want. And once I remember, this is another reason why when you say you really want something, you have to prove it. At that point in time, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joseph, after I say this, but I don't think it's like this anymore. But back then, Joseph said, if you stay on for this entire webinar, if you stay on for this entire thing, I have something for you at the end. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going nowhere. I'm gonna just sit right here and I'm gonna see whatever it is that he has. At the end of the webinar, you gave a code for us to have a free 30-minute call with you or Casey. And you would only get that code if you would have stayed that entire hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it was. You say you want to get into PT school, but you got off the webinar 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in. I'm confused. You do or you don't want to get into school? And so I hopped on my free call with Joseph, I think maybe like a day, 2 days later. My man's like, yeah, I'm out in Tampa. And
I was like driving to the clinic. It was like I was on the road as we were talking. I remember.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just remember telling Joseph, like, I want this. Like, I know you probably hear people tell you this, but like, Joseph, I want this. Yeah. Like, just tell me whatever I have to do and I'm going to do it. And man, the rest is history from there.
Man, before we get to Carl talking about, what it was like to get his first acceptance letter, y'all listen. Carl is saying it all. Y'all have to show that you want it. We can't we can't spend, especially now, like this year more than ever, 2020 more than ever, coronavirus and everything that's been going on this year. It's so easy to say, well, I don't have this, so you think I can convince the school to not look at this because of Rona? You think I could do this? I've seen that already. All right. And if you think I'm calling you out, I am, because I really don't have time to sugarcoat nothing. But does it mean that you really want it? I don't know. And for like, this should be a hopeful message. Like, y'all should be hearing this and saying, hallelujah. Like, y'all should be hearing this and getting excited, because what it means is that like it has nothing to do with all the things that you've been told it has everything to do with. Most of y'all have been taught that you have to have a 3.7. You have to have, a 310 on your, GRE, a 310. You have to have, 500 observation hours or more. Y'all, like, no, you don't, right? Now, do those things like help? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. But man, it takes a certain level. It's called pre-PT grind for a reason, right? It's like pre-PT grind, right? It's not pre-PT cakewalk. It's not pre-PT, let me just kind of watch a few videos and see what happens. You know what I mean? It's the pre-PT grind. It's the people that are willing to actually say, yo, I'm ready to act. Just tell me what I need to do and let me do it. And if you're able to do that, man, this should be the best message you should be hearing tonight or whenever you're watching this replay, because those are the students that absolutely tear it up and crush it. And so for those of y'all that are listening live or on replay, this weekend, we are doing our last masterclass of the year. I'm telling you right now, it's easily the best training we've ever done live. And we've done it before. But this weekend is the last time we're doing it for this year. 2021 is probably the next time y'all will see us do a training like it. It's our 2020 pre-PT acceptance method. Y'all, like, if y'all are done playing games, I would sign up for it. It's free, so you might as well just show up for the dang thing. Go to www.leveluptheprept.com. Somebody put that in the comments real quick. Put that in the comments, because I think we were checking right before this. What was it? I think it was like 565. Was that what it was?
575.
575. There are 575 pre-PTs that have already registered for it. We just checked it right before this live. It's probably close to 600 by the time we're actually recording this right now. So if y'all want to take a stride like those students, y'all might as well sign up and invite as many of your pre-PT friends as possible, because we ain't doing this again this year. I'm just saying. That's only if you really want to get in. I mean, it's up to you. You feel me? It's up to y'all. Anyway, Karl, so put that in the comments, www.leveluptheprept.com. And then for the people that come in, they can use that link and then you can use it as well. But Karl, tell us about, obviously you came into our accepted system coaching program. We want to talk about you getting accepted into PT school, because Karl's journey went from him being where he just told y'all. He's currently one of our main coaches in our coaching program. Like, he's one of our main coaches right now, and he's pretty damn good, right? Like, he's good. But in between was where he finally got his first and second acceptance letter. So what was that first acceptance letter like, man? And what did it mean to you? You almost had to go back to shoveling snow, right? After running away from, from the Midwest. But tell us about that. And then lastly, tell us what are your final words of wisdom, man? Talk to the people after having gone through everything you've gone through. What would you tell them out of everything you've learned in the last few years, man? And what would you do if you were to go to Karl December of 2017? What would you tell that guy? That's how I want us to end it up. So tell us about your first acceptance and now where you're currently a PT student at. And then, of course, your words of wisdom to Karl in December of 2017. Let's go.
So first acceptance, man. Joseph was like the third person, third or fourth person that I called, man. And I was just so appreciative, because it felt like the longest journey ever. It felt like a roller coaster ride that finally came to an end. That school was Western Michigan, and people are like, Michigan, but you live in Florida. Yeah, but I wanted it. I didn't care if I had to go to Alaska, if I had to go across the other side of the states. Like, I just wanted to get into school. And I remember that them finding me actually stemmed from a blog that I wrote for Kyle Rice, who many of you don't know who Kyle Rice is. He's next level. He helps student physical therapists become licensed doctors of physical therapy. Phenomenal. That's like big bro right there. But I wrote something for Kyle's platform, and shout out to Jasmine Long, one of my mentees from season 2. Jazz is amazing. Jazz ended up commenting. She tagged all the schools that I was interested in going to, and Western Michigan's. I can't remember if Dr. Fruth was the admissions counselor or like, but she was like the main person. She ended up seeing the post and she commented on it. She was like, "I love your writing. By the way, decisions come out in the next week or so." So I ended up getting that interview. I ended up getting into school there, man, and that was amazing. St. Augustine was a school that actually Casey told me to apply to. I never heard of USA, and I was talking to Case one night, and he was like, "Look at University of St. Augustine. You might like them," And I looked into them, and I applied, and this was after I got my first acceptance. They called me in for an interview like a month later, and I ended up getting accepted there. And I think that interview was probably a lot more chill than the first one, because at that point I was like, hey, I got into school. So
yeah, it's no pressure at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just an amazing feeling, because it wasn't from a standpoint of like, oh, I didn't think this was going to happen, because at that point in time, it was me fully embodied into, I knew it was going to happen. And so when it did happen, it was like, what took y'all so long? So that was just, man, that just thinking back to the emotions I felt and everything, and it was amazing. But to answer the second question that you asked in regards to what would I tell a younger me back in 2017, December, I would probably tell him, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open, stay the course, and stay ready. And to kind of elaborate on that, I would say keep your eyes open, because you never know what is going to come to you. You never know what opportunities are going to be presented to you. Like being able to start your own blog, or being able to start a podcast, or being able to have your own clients when you're in PT school and learn skills to make money to be able to pay off your loans. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open to the fact that even though you might have been looking at these 3 schools at first, you might not want to go to those 3 schools later on. Your heart might be pulling you somewhere else. So just be open to that. And then in terms of just staying down and staying ready, it's like, you just got to stay down with the grind. Like you got to be 10 toes down. And one thing I'll tell you about not just getting into PT school, but life in general, is when you say you want something, it's going to tell you to prove it. And you got to be able to really like show like, I'm here. Like this is really what I want. And the staying ready aspect of it is you got to get this right up here, because mentally when you're ready and mentally when you stay in that, and Joseph will tell you, I used to get on calls with him and I would say, listen, Joseph, all I need is somebody to give me an interview. If they give me an interview, it's game over. And what happened?
I remember it. Like you were like, listen, just get me in the crack and that's it. Just get me in the door. It's a done deal.
And that's it. So I think that those are very important. And I think the last thing that I would say is stop playing with your potential. I had to have that conversation with myself a lot of times and realize like I had to stop making excuses. Oh, my mom and dad didn't. Stop it. Oh, well, no one showed me. Stop it. Oh, well, I don't know if I had the money. Stop it. Stop playing with yourself. The moment that I realized that anything I wanted to do, anything that I envisioned I could do, and this is beyond just getting into PT school now, y'all, because I'm doing some stuff. And the only way that I was able to get to this point, the only way I was able to be where I am now, to have the influence and success and the resources and relationships that I have now, is I stopped playing with my potential. And I realized that I deserve a seat at the table too. So ask yourself, do I really want it? Because I think a lot of you don't really want it. And if the answer is yes, then my next statement is prove it. Don't prove it to me though. Prove it to yourself.
Man, keep talking. I'm taking notes here. Y'all, listen. I hope y'all listen to Carl. First of all, if y'all want this, prove it, is what he said. Not my words, his, but I agree with him. He also said opportunity. Opportunity only comes to the people that are ready. I don't think many of y'all realize. Y'all have opportunities left and right. I think many of us feel like we're victims. Like we just do. We're just like, oh, well, but my situation is different. Man, listen, BS. Like Like everyone has struggles, right? Yours are different than everyone else's, but they're still all struggles. And many times we see ourselves as victims. It's like, woe is me. The world is against me. Man, listen, just like if you stay ready, opportunities come your way. Here's what Karl is doing now. Like he's a humble man, but I'm a brag for him a little bit. Is that cool? So Karl, if feel free to add to the list that I'm about to throw out. I'm gonna give y'all a taste of what Karl is doing. 2018, early 2018, Karl was where most of y'all are right now. Like he was trying to figure out how to navigate his way, but he was ready. His eyes were open. Right now, Karl is one of the coaches for our program, which is the #1 acceptance coaching program in the world for students trying to get into PT school. Karl is currently he has 3 podcasts. Not one, y'all got a podcast? He has 3. Karl is probably one of the he's the best writer I know. One of the #1 bloggers that I know, especially in the game of physical therapy. And he's a PhD student right now, where he has some of the biggest names in the profession reaching out to him to either guest blog on their platforms or to help them figure out how to message and all this other stuff. Karl right now is a business owner. Karl is at the top of his game in terms of understanding how to how to navigate SEO, which is a little techie for some of y'all, but pretty much for people that want to show up big online, he's one of the biggest keys for them. But 2 years ago, he was exactly what y'all are right now. And he was just trying to figure out how to get into PT school. But the difference is Karl realized that all he had to do was stay open to opportunities and stay ready for them, so that when they came, he actually recognized them as such. I can guarantee y'all that most of y'all would have seen every opportunity that Karl got, and you would have seen it as a distraction. And your blessing would have walked right over you. So y'all staying ready? And do y'all really want it? Because if you do, then let your actions show it. I don't know what else to tell him, Karl. I mean, shoot, that's it. That's it. But I know you humble, so I had to make sure that I gassed you a little bit, my guy. Like I had to. But
it's all
y'all,
love, bro.
Listen. All of y'all are capable of so much more than you think, and I'm not saying that from a hype motivational. I know I'm saying it because it's real. I'm saying it because that's how Karl lives his life. That's how I live my life. That's how Casey lives his life. A lot of the people that you've seen us bring on here, that's how they live their lives. But most of us feel like these are exceptions. Oh, Karl's a little different. Man, Karl ain't different from y'all. He ain't different.
I just wanted it more.
He just wants it more. He just wants it more. So if y'all want to take your first step, be there this Sunday. It's the last one we're doing for the year. If you miss it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. If you can't be there, just sign up so you can at least get the replay for 72 hours. But outside of that, I mean, we'll see you in 2021. I don't know what else to say, man. Sign up, y'all. Go to www.leveluptheprept.com. Let's help y'all crush it. Can we give some love to Karl tonight for showing up and making sure that he serves y'all? Y'all, Karl dropped some fire. For those of y'all that missed the live stream, y'all gonna want to watch this replay afterwards. And for those of y'all listening to this on the podcast, hope you enjoyed as well. But y'all, let's show Karl some love. Give him some hearts, give him some comments, man. Y'all, he brought it tonight. He brought it. And hopefully one day y'all can be interviewed like Karl on this series. We should have given it.